Hello,
You moved
folks.
too much.
Oh, Kim. Hello, folks. Welcome to a Pubcast. We're actually pubcasting video and audio on YouTube and wherever you find podcasts. We figured, fuck it, we need to do one of these because we haven't done one in so fucking long.
Indeed.
And the last one we did it in person. I think.
I,
I can't
I,
fucking remember. Did
Jesus, I can't
I
remember
hope
either.
so. I don't know if we did or not.
Yeah, was it the one where I was dressed as Hunter S. Thompson by accident?
it's the one where you were wearing the Yankees jersey? I think.
Yes,
Oh shit.
we were in the
Okay.
pub.
Yeah.
I remember.
But
Okay. Okay.
as always, I'm Wayne.
I'm Kim.
Hi, Darren.
I'm Jill.
And we are Pubcast. Now, for anyone, we've recently gotten a bunch of new subscribers and listeners thanks to our new Sorcery and Shenanigans D&D campaign. For anyone who doesn't know, before we even started doing D&D in our, in the previous campaign, and we're now in our second one, we did podcasts, and this is what we did pre all of the bullshit we're all living through right now. So we started doing. We said, "Fuck it," let's do one again for the first time in forever. So I've been up to a rake of stuff, and I'm sure all of you have as well. And I think we've all seen movies and been out in the world a bit more now. And it's been quite awesome. I think all of us have seen the Batman, haven't we? Have we?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Are we all watching the Gay Pirate Show?
Not yet, but I'm looking.
Not yet, but I'm gonna get on that
Okay,
shit.
so I'm the only one that's seen the Gay Pirates. Okay.
Take away Tiffany.
We'll be back on about that.
Yeah, so our Flag Means Death is what I'm on about, a phenomenal comedy show. But and there's also Jill, you mentioned you'd seen The Northman.
Yeah, in the last month I've seen The Northman and I saw King Richard. Both excellent movies.
Oh,
But
cool.
The Northman I saw last week.
Yeah, we've been catching up on all of our shit basically, and
Yeah.
watching things, reading things, watching shows, going to things out in the world, and it's been fun. We may as well start with the Batman, I guess. I mean, we've all seen it. It's something we can all talk about. And
Can I start? 'Cause I reckon mine is the shortest.
of course, go right ahead.
I think I saw it last. I had to leg it to get it before it left the cinema because life. I drove to Ashburn, and it's only the third movie I've ever seen that affected my driving on the way home after Baby Driver and Spectre. I had to tell myself a few times to chill.
Did
There.
you fucking floor it, Finton? Did you?
And so people who listen to the podcast or know me in real life know a few things about me. Number one, she complains that nobody can edit anything anymore because everything's too long. Number two, she basically spends the third act of action movies wanting nuanced looks between characters from the first two acts, but not getting them. So basically checking out a little bit until they wrap it all up at the end. And considering the Batman's runtime and the amount of action contained within, you'd imagine that maybe there wouldn't be much there for me. Jesus Christ, every minute of it was earned. Every thing where nothing happened was perfect and let everything settle. The performances were just perfect. And my favorite Batman as a vertigo dickhead in the 90s, all my favorite Batman was always a study of the Maroni Falcone Ben Cops rot in Gotham. And I mean, that's such a large part of it, but for it to be focused on that, I was a bit of a mark for. And Jesus, I was so impressed. I came out, I listen every second of my day. There was something playing in my earbuds, a podcast, music, something. And I came out of the cinema and I didn't have anything appropriate to put on to follow it. So I just stayed in it on the way home. And I thought they just did great. I thought they just did great. Fucking hats off. Kind of wondering when I'll watch it again though, because it's a lot. So that's funny because as soon as I finished Batman Begins, I would have put it straight back on again, you know. So it's moody as fuck, and it was. I would love if it was standalone. I'd love if it was just a rogue thing by itself, and then they did something campier later. I know, I know there will be obviously set up for a sequel, but just full of us all around, everything. the casting. I'm a Pats fan, and I didn't notice him. I never thought about Cedric Diggory once. I didn't even know it was him. It was fucking Bruce Wayne. And I thought that was class. Here ends my opinion on Batman.
Well, who's up next? I mean, I can go if he's want, but I mean, like, I think D-Man, Jill.
I was thoroughly impressed with it. I was kind of the same. I forgot it was Robert Pattinson watching it. Huge shout out to Zoe Kravitz for being an amazing Catwoman. She was stunning. I thought she was perfect. All the rest of the supporting cast, there was no bad egg in it for me. Everybody brought their A game. I went to see it when I went to see it. I went to see it in 4D. So you had the moving chairs, and then, oh God, at least 4 times when the rain would start, you'd get this mist of rain over you.
Where, Jill? Where does that?
It was in Cineworld did it.
Oh,
And I had never been to a 4D screening before. My other half was like, "Oh, I went to see the Dune one. We should go see Batman 4D." So we did.
Did they just throw sand at you when you're in Dune? Like, literally just everyone, there's just a bang of spice throughout the entire cinema, and then just fucking bags of sand.
For the
Pocket
entire-
sand! Ah,
Yeah.
That's all we got.
But even like the subtle movement of the chairs when you were when a camera was panning into an overhead shot and your seat would kind of lean over as the camera was leaning over to look at characters and stuff, kind of cool. So yeah, that added a whole dimension to it.
well, I have to say, Jill, the sound. I was so glad I saw it in the cinema because of the sound design. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The funny thing, Darren, do you remember me and you were going into Robert Eggers' last film, The Lighthouse?
The Lighthouse,
And
yes.
You bought nachos, and I said you can't bring fucking nachos into an indie movie. The funny thing is, you could, because The Lighthouse is the loudest fucking film that's ever happened, and the Batman was the quietest shit in the world, apart from when it was reverberating. You couldn't have nachos in there. I had
No.
popcorn and I could barely get it in my face. I was waiting 15-minute stretches before I could eat it without being heard.
We're waiting for the
Like,
explosions that
that's
really
really
happened,
weird.
which is great.
Yeah. So that was weird.
Like for me, when I went to see it, like I think it was my second time back in work on a Wednesday, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to get back to the habit of going to the cinema. So when I went, there was hardly anyone in it, which I think kind of added to it, and I enjoyed it from start to finish. Obviously, I've seen Robert in other movies, like the latest one was The Lighthouse. So that's why every now and then when the camera was on him and he was in the dark, I got a bit worried what he would channel, but thankfully none of that. But I thought he was great. The Batman visually, he was scary. That scene at the beginning when he's kicking the crap out of the gang was deadly. When you find out like it's year he's been on it 2 years, so people know him, people fear him. But for me, it felt like the comic Batman Year One. I thought it was really, really cool. I loved it more because it felt like a detective movie, which is where when I was reading Batman when I was young, that's what it was. He had to solve stuff, whereas
World's
now
greatest.
with the way things are going, there's a lot more action and explosions, which we did have that kick-ass car chase. So that's why I'm like, you driving home, Kim, must have been interesting. Did you keep on looking back to see if he was on your tail?
The road was empty. So that's the problem. I was exacerbated by the fact that I got out of the cinema so fucking late because it's so fucking long.
Well, that's the
So
thing.
I was like,
It's 3 hours, but it didn't feel like 3 hours. There wasn't and it's been, not that I would, but it was a long time since I felt the urge to go and look and see what time it was on the phone, with that movie anyway. I just didn't want to look at my phone once in case I missed something. And I thought all the characters were great. I thought like seeing your man Jeffrey Wright, James Gordon, he was in, what's the one with the robots before, that TV show?
Westworld.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of other things well, but I know him from
he's
last
in a lot
year
of
in
stuff.
Westworld. When I heard his voice, I was like, oh yes, great choice for Gordon. And you can see like he's not fully the boss yet, like he's working his way like Batman. So I really, really enjoyed it. I agree with you. Well, I know you were saying there might be a sequel, but that could be self-contained the way it is, because there's always going to be another villain. And it was, without spoilers, it was good to see that it felt like this is the first person, is his first time fighting someone, and that there's the hint that there's always others coming out of the woodwork, which is always the thing about Batman, is are the bad guys there because of Batman, or is Batman there because of the bad guys? And that's why I if they left it, I'd be really happy. But part of me wants to see the Batman continue and grow more, and his version of Batman. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And again, yeah, the 3 hours, I probably would, like, I'll wait for a while, like for a good month or two, not because it's bad, but because it's that way I'll forget most of it and want to sit down and take it in again and watch it.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Like there's a lot. You kind of have to be in the mood for it because it's so moody. Like it's a film. Like it has like a classic album. It has a thread going through it and a vibe going through it. I love that you can't fully make Batman movies without trying to change it now because Gen Z are not going to fall for someone going around kicking the shit out of shoplifters while he's a billionaire. When he could be, I mean, the idea that he could deal with society's rot from the boardroom has always been interesting to me. And I think Gen Z have realized that street thugs are a trickle down effect of a worse thing. And if it was just Batman kicking the shit out of muggers, where's the intrigue? That was class.
So I seem to be on my own here.
Yeah.
Because I saw it and I did enjoy it when I first saw it. I thought it was too long. I thought it tried to be too smart and made smart characters seem dumb.
Who, Wayne? Which ones?
Batman. So Bruce Wayne, like to quote Hans Gruber, the benefits of a classical education.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is the Dark Knight detective because he is extremely intelligent. He is a genius billionaire. And yet, his Spanish failed him in a moment where it would not fail Batman. It was, I think there was the plot thread in that film that it was fucking terrible as far as writing is concerned. But the character is, yeah.
Say, I hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Yeah, I mean, like if I was to put my nerd boy hat on, probably. But I just
you never take it off.
True. This is true. This is very true.
That's what that is.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll say this. I did enjoy it. It was a great Batman film. Really was. Yeah. Great Batman film. Pattinson, fantastic in the role. Jeffrey Wright. Everyone in it was brilliant. I just felt that the writing in parts and the ideas in parts of it, it just felt like too many other films mashed together to make a Batman movie.
Yeah.
Right. It was Seven meets Zodiac basically, and it was like, okay, fair enough. I wanted like the detective stuff to be proper detective stuff, like the fact that right at the start of the film, when they find a murder weapon in the lawyer's or the attorney's place, and he holds it up, and not one dude in that fucking room knew what that thing was for. And I'm going, hang on a second here. Like, there has to be somebody. The law of averages, somebody looks at that and goes, that's for pulling up carpets, lads. You know what I mean? Like, come on. There has to be a weekend tradesman, double jobbing there as a cop. I felt some of it stretched a wee bit too much for me.
Well, I've heard from reliable sources that GCPD cops, they ain't so smart. So work with.
They're not wicked smart, but it was just, there was moments in it I was kind of going, right, okay, I'll take the leap of faith here, because there was one particular moment in the film that I mentally punched the air with excitement. Was the moment that Batmobile revved up. Literally, as soon as the Batmobile revved up,
yes,
in that alleyway, it was literally, oh, just a little bit of sex we came out there, lovely. It was an amazing sound. The sound design on that alone was just like, oh fuck yeah! And that entire car chase. The what?
The cinema.
I saw in the cinema. No, I did. And here's the thing as well. And this could have been part of. So with me, cinema is always a huge event. Always has been. No matter what I'm going to see, being in the cinema to me means a lot. This was the first film I saw in the cinema in 2.5 years. So.
What?
I hadn't been back to the cinema. I missed Dune in the cinema. I rented Dune off Apple TV when it came out because I couldn't go see it in the cinema, because of everything. So the Batman came out. I was like, me and Ira were like, look, let's fucking do this. It's the Batman, and she was like, yeah, let's go. So we went on our first proper cinema date in 2.5 years. And we strapped ourselves in, got our popcorn, got our drinks. We're like, yeah, let's go, let's go. It was quite empty, actually. It was in the Odeon Coolock, which is just around the corner from our house. And there was very few people in the screen, which put me at ease. And it was like, this is good, great, lovely. Let's sit here, munch our popcorn, drink our drinks, watch the movie. And like, I was in from the start. I was like, yeah, this is gloomy, it's moody, it's proper Batman-y. It's got that gothic noir detective story feel to it. Love the design. The artist whose name escapes me, Francesco, I can't remember his name. I apologize. But really good. I can't remember his full name. I can tell you now. If you give me 2 seconds, I'll go on because I follow on the Ellen Graham, and he is a fantastic. Here we go, Francesco Francavilla. His art design and art direction or art basically inspired a lot of the look of the film, particularly the batsuit, and the way he draws. A lot of his stuff is done like 1930s, 1940s Hollywood. It's got that kind of old school feel to it, very much a noir sensibility.
What? War inspiring Batman? Tell me more.
Yeah, so like it pretty much had me. I was like, yeah, I'm all in for this. I want this to be fantastic. I didn't give a fuck about Pattinson being Batman. I've seen him in films previous to this where he just is literally like knocking it out of the park every single time. Like, he went down the McConaughey route of, I gotta pay bills, and he did the Twilight films, made his name, and then became a proper actor. Like, if anyone who hasn't seen The Rover with Guy Pearce, go watch that fucking movie. Like, he's a cracking actor. He's really good. So I had no fear of him being able to play.
Still only a young fella.
He's still only a young fella. So I had no fear of him being able to play like a moody Bruce Wayne.
He's such a good actor. Like he was really good, given the material and the turnover of directors and them Twilight things. Shark and Jaws, lads. Shark and Jaws.
Yeah, Shark and Jaws. But
and he doesn't take himself seriously at fucking all,
Nope.
which is such a treasure.
Yeah. I mean, to go from Bale as Batman, who took it so seriously and method acted the bollocks out of it, that even in interviews he put on the Bruce Wayne voice when he was interviewed, because he does that with all of his films. And he filmed that the Bale is in. He'll adapt the accent for any interview he's doing about the movie. He'll still have his American accent or whatever the fuck, or if he's been an English guy, he'll have the British accent. It's a weird method thing for him. But I thought he was great as a moody, mopey, I'm only been doing this for 2 years, I'm mentally broken type of an individual. I did love that we didn't have to sit through the fucking death of the Waynes again. I thought that more of that, please. I'll still stand to this day. I still stand on the fact that anyone that's going to see these movies nowadays doesn't need to see the origin stories. We don't need to see them. We know them. They pulled it off perfectly with Ed Norton's Hulk. They put it in the credits, and that was it. Then with Tom Holland as Spider-Man, everyone fucking knows how Spider-Man became Spider-Man. We don't need the fucking intro. They just dropped him into a movie and then they ran with it. Like with this, with Batman, yes, they mentioned that Thomas and Martha Wayne were murdered. Fine, we all know the story. I just think they hit the right beats in certain situations. I just think they fell over in other situations as well, where it just took him too long to get to a point, and there was weaving and intertwining where it was like, lads, you could have cut that down. That it was over exposition in certain parts of it.
Maybe. I like that he didn't have all the answers, and did I not fucking love that Alfred used to be in the circus? Did I not love that Alfred used to be a spy and could bring that in? I thought that was such a nice touch. I don't know.
He wasn't in the circus. He was Andy Circus.
But safe there.
This is just bringing me the Twitter experience in real life. So come here. One thing I've got a question for you, Wonks, is there canon is that canon, the Wayne Arkham union, or did they create that?
And that pissed off a few people.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit forced. And it's
Very
the only
much
thing that
so,
felt
yeah.
I'm like, whoa, you can't just be throwing them names around. That was exactly like that was Ray Skywalker all over again. It's okay. We can learn more than 2 names. It's fine. But I love the dubious. I love that. I mean, Thomas Wayne has always been such a god figure to us.
Mm.
And it makes sense that we're seeing him through Bruce's eyes all the time. So, of course, it's going to be an untarnished record. If you've ever heard a sibling talk about a grandparent that they haven't seen for a long time, you're like, there's a lot you're forgetting there. But I love that he fucked up at some point and tried to cover it up. And it wasn't extremely bad, but the small lie left an opening for Falcone to sow seeds of doubt and fuck the whole thing up. I love that Batman was only 2 years old and was maybe wrapping up soon. That was like he hadn't always been a thing. He was a thing, but he hadn't always been a thing, and people still had they still could make up their own shit about him, I suppose. But it was just really, really good. Throw in a Bloodhaven reference. Yep, boom, boom, boom. Extra marks for that.
I did love as well. They did actual nods to the video games with some of the moves and the action in it. Like any of the action in it, there was nods and winks to moments from video games, which is unheard of in those type of movies because they wouldn't give video games the time of day and consider them to be, solid entertainment in most circles. So, like, why pay reference to it? But there were references, little hints and nods.
Wayne, you've seen it so long ago now. Do you think talking to us has kind of brightened you on it a little bit?
Oh no, I'll watch it again. And I mean,
ingenuity has.
When I first saw it, I came out of it going, that was cracking. Loved it. And then I sat in the car, like literally in the 5-minute journey it took to drive around from the cinema to the house. I was like sitting there and I was just, it was starting to marinate. And I was like, oh, okay. Right. Okay. I felt Paul Dano as the Riddler was okay. He was all right.
The association of the Riddler. Have you seen that the memes online? So how fabulous he starts off as like Jim Carrey, and then the Riddler in the Gotham show, and then the Riddler in the Batman. It's like it's the de-assification of the Riddler because he's less flamboyant as it goes on. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, thank you, Janesh, for that.
It's perfect Gen Z fodder. He's just an isolated human being that has managed to connect himself to dubious sources all around. That was good. Getting everybody together and taking it off. I mean, bit too real there, but I like that. I wanted more with the politician, but maybe that's to come.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing about it is that there were elements where it tried to cover a lot of bases and it tried to make itself like an over-encompassing kind of idea of Gotham and made it very much like a political thriller and a noir detective film, and then the superhero saves the day at the end with the kind of the city being under siege and the flooding and all that type of shit, which I felt, again, it seems to be that the Batman films suffer from that. The third act of the Batman films, and particularly modern day Batman films, their third act always has to have that urgency and kind of like a Roland Emmerich spectacle where like 2 boats are going to blow up or like the city. Like I felt that was like a Roland Emmerich Batman at the end, where all these randos were just like, in the Roland Emmerich film when you see the randos, like the traffic cop who can see the Empire State Building freezing from half a mile away and all that type of shit, where it's like, that's what the end of the Batman felt like to me, where all of a sudden it's in the fucking, whatever it was, the hockey rink or the stadium, wherever it was. And then all of a sudden the thugs were there, and that's when it felt like a video game to me, because it was like, okay, fair enough. And he was dropping in and taking dudes out, and it was all sorts of shit happening. Because the
mission of blowing up the shit, so the levee broke and sent all the water in, and then you could do the side mission of shooting all the politicians. Yeah, but it's very realistic. I know it shouldn't be this realistic, but considering events. I mean, maybe Marine Le Pen has won while we're sitting here. Like,
no, she hasn't. No,
but you can see why. Like, a political system where the new fresh person still has to deal with the stinking pile of shit that's there. I loved misappropriation of the renewal fund. I loved that absolutely gritty corporate shite. And it felt very new, yet very 90s Vertigo Batman.
Yeah.
So I thought they were great. Wayne is like on the drive home and it's 5 minutes, like, hang on. Meanwhile, I'm getting a 45-minute journey across the rural countryside, turning it into a 35-minute journey and having to go underneath the bridge. Yeah, that's interesting. Although I am, let's be honest, dimmer than Wayne. So let's just register that. Can we register that? I'm playing with a board marker. Sorry, everybody.
Stop giving yourself this service. But
I'll give
yeah,
myself the
shut
board
up, Kim. What? Shut up.
Yeah, shut up.
Um,
Stop being hard on yourself, you stupid cunt.
you bleeding tick.
Anyways, can you imagine if that movie was released in 1990? We'd still have erections.
Oh, you know, big time, big time. I mean, it's why people still think Batman Returns is one of the best Batman films ever made, and they're fucking wrong. So I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Tag him in the description. Stephen
It's one
Mooney
of
is
my
mentioned
favorites.
that.
I'll just leave. Okay, I'll just.
Well, look, D-Man. I mean, I'm sure
Like things.
it's okay. Look, D-Man, if you haven't left by the amount of shit that
you
you
know me, I like everything. I like
Yeah.
everything.
Wait, are you giving him shit for liking Batman Returns?
I thought it was great, especially. Oh, well, anyway.
Well, I like it because A, like Tim Burton,
Yeah.
B, Michelle Pfeiffer,
Mhm.
and yeah, that ticks a lot of boxes for me. It's not the
Yeah.
best Batman movie, but it's one of my favorites.
Oh no, it's a fun.
Christopher Walken, you know.
Yeah, as Max
No.
Shrek.
It's a Tim Burton movie more than it's a Batman movie. Same way Dark Knight Rises. Nolan himself into oblivion in that one. He couldn't behave. Couldn't behave. Couldn't
No,
behave. He's like,
no.
oh, wait, I did a philosophy lecture 14 years ago and it's all going in this one. You're
Yeah.
like, no. Don't.
No, look, I've nothing against Batman Returns. We've had this conversation multiple fucking times. We even did a commentary on Batman Returns. It's out in the ether somewhere. But it's, I'm just saying, like, I
Bananas.
it's a good film. I just think it's like Batman has the least screen time of any Batman film in Batman Returns. He doesn't really return. He just shows up every now and again, and everyone else gets all the screen time. Like
You couldn't really call it Batman comes in waves. It wouldn't have that kind of ring to it. It's like,
you know.
But under the Trades Descriptions Act, it would have been better. But yeah. It's grand, but it's frightfully silly.
It
There's
is
there's
frightfully
nothing wrong
silly.
with silly. There's nothing wrong with silly. I love a good
Love
silly
a bit
film.
of silly.
You know, totally
Thanks,
love
Paul.
it. But like, I get it. Like,
Also, extra mark for no sky beam.
no Skybeam.
Yeah, there's fucking sky beam and everything now.
Oh yeah. No, good point. Actually, yeah.
Gotta have beam to the sky, letting aliens in.
Yeah.
But sky beam.
does the bat signal count as a sky beam though?
It was very. I love that. Like, bat signal was like he seemed to be noticing it by accident, and for our American viewers, on accident. He was just like chilling and going, "Oh, I wasn't facing the right direction. Oh, there it is." Whereas in the other films, everything else, it's the focus of his life.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Point of his neurology. Whereas in this one, he's like, "Oh, fuck, someone tried to ring me an hour ago." And you're like, it makes sense. In the other properties, he was waiting for the call, and in
Yeah.
this one, he's already been doing shit.
Yeah.
He's ahead of the call. He's like, oh, I just took out a bad guy. Is that what that was about?
Yeah.
Is that the right bad guy I just took out?
But it did scare them when they seen that, and I love that when they seen that the bad guys were like, "Oh fuck, he's up."
Oh shit!
Or is he not up? He's already been
Yeah.
doing stuff. But when that's on, he's definitely on the case. You know.
Yeah.
So-
There's that fear level was in place.
I love that.
Jill, this is gonna happen whenever whenever we talk about our flag means death. So let's start the series this episode. What level of buy alarm were you at? Because I had Pats, I had Kravitz. I think it kind of ends there. Yeah, it just flicking switches all over the place. It's like I'm trying to concentrate, people.
So hard.
Luckily-
So hard.
Yeah.
Flooded
Although
basement, 3 hours. It was amazing.
they had that Buffy and Angel 3 feet height difference, so that was a chiropractic.
Because Zoe Kravitz, she's so teeny tiny.
I should have to stand on a motorbike to get a proper go on his face. But yeah. Oh, better write that down for my next whenever Naomi's commissions open again.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Batman. It was a good Batman film. It's not the worst in the world. It really isn't. I just felt.
Definitely check it out. Everybody should definitely check
Oh,
it out.
definitely, yeah. I mean,
God.
you can now rent it on like Apple TV and Amazon Prime and shit. Or I think but it's like it's ridiculous money though. It's like it's 19 quid or something, or 17 quid just to
Get your
fucking
bag.
rent it.
Get your bags.
Go to the cinema.
Guys,
Better in the cinema.
rank it between Batman movies. Don't give me the full rundown. Give me the one that's above it and the one that's below it. Darren, you start.
I can't. I'm trying to do.
All right, somebody more decisive start.
Let me have a think, because I'm probably going to think about this. too
For
much.
me, to this day, still the best Batman film out there is Batman
No,
Begins.
didn't ask that.
But-
I asked.
So that's where
in
it's
a
ranked.
list
So
of
it's
your
Batman Begins, okay,
The Batman.
The Dark Knight.
No,
The
bitch.
I'm
That's
doing it.
the
I'm
one-
doing it. Listen to me. Let me do it. So
The whole lot.
no, I'm giving you three.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
The Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Batman. That's the order.
Yeah, I wanted above and below only. But
But I,
you opened with I didn't like it and then put it in the top 3.
yeah, no, but hang on a second. I said that I didn't. I had problems with it, but I didn't have as many problems with it as I would have had like The Dark Knight Rises or the Burton films or the Adam West TV movie with shark repellent. Like it's you know what I mean. So it ranks in my top 3, but there's 2 better films than it. If you know what I mean.
Ah, yeah, but sure, there's 2 better of everyone. There's even 2 better versions of me out there, I'm pretty sure. One of them went to DCU in the business school. Anyway, yeah, what about you, Jillo? What's
Huh?
under it? I'm
What's
asking
under
Wayne.
it?
Yeah.
Oh well, under the Batman for me would be the Dark Knight Rises definitely. All of the Joel Schumachers. You see, I have a soft spot for Burton, so like I'll always.
You got her something.
What?
You got her something.
Got or something.
Got her something, yeah.
I am just a little bit like
Right, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
just a smidge. So yeah, I definitely put it in my top 3, but I'm not entirely sure what falls either side of it. But then I prefer The Dark Knight to Batman Begins.
Interesting. I think that's interesting in this group, isn't it, guys? I think we all put Begins above The Dark Knight, and we are definitely the alternative, Jill. Definitely, everyone else does it the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have done with a bit more a bit more laser focus in The Dark Knight because Jesus Christ is so stunning, but he lost himself a few times, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was more on screen in Batman Begins. I'm not refilling this, lads.
Why? Why?
A public health measure.
Because it's
So
Sunday.
Dad's got a diagram for us down here.
I think Darren is probably writing a list. You're trying
I'm
to. Are
actually
you
trying
doing?
to like again with my brain? I'm trying to remember the names of movies. Thank God I have the internet, but for the love of God, it won't fucking show
Do
me.
you remember the film?
Right, so
You
right,
fell in love.
so the one with the Joker in it is called.
Are you going to tell me that somebody yelling a question at you isn't a good way to jog memory? No way. No way.
No, go on, D-Man. Get your list.
Go.
What was the one with the Joker in it again?
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
So that would be my top one because I thought it was an amazing performance of Keith
Me,
Ledger
Darren.
as Joker. But then here it goes. My second favorite, and sorry about this, is Batman Returns. I just
You don't need to apologize for liking the movie. Dick.
the third-
Apologise.
yeah, that would be my second one, and then the third one would be the Batman.
Oh, it's in the top
know-
3 of all of us. That's impressive, lads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consider it for
What's
such a-
yours, Kim? What's yours?
Oh, why did you come roaring the question? No, I'd say because I'm such a political corruption mark, and it's so stupid to say when I just said I don't know when I'll be able to watch it again. Like I don't know when I'll be able to watch it again, but it's fucking it's the Batman meal I was promised since the beginning of
It's the
fucking time.
most cute Batman.
Yeah,
But
I
Kim, it didn't
I
have
think
Batman
it's
nipples.
annoying, but I will revisit this in 5 years, lads.
Yeah,
I will see.
when the next one is out.
Yeah,
I'd say
but
sooner. I'd say sooner.
I hope it isn't one of those sequels that devalues the first one, but I don't really see how it could.
Well, the one thing I think is going to what that might devalue it if they
Gaza.
decide
Gaza.
if they decide to go with Barry Keoghan as the Joker,
Joker.
because I thought like everyone was losing their shit over it, over that little clip that they released of him
4 minutes.
Yeah.
doing it's the Brian Azzarello Joker, which is fine. It's a cracking Joker, like, you know.
Yeah.
Who was also recently just announced as a guest for Dublin Comic Con in August.
Very nice man. Very nice.
Yeah. So, like, I just, I get, I don't know what it is about that guy as an actor. I don't rate him. I don't like. I've seen him in most things he's in, but
I have a theory.
yeah.
Must be bunnies.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's self-esteem issue.
With him.
Yeah, because he's the sound as fucking Northside Dublin, just doing his best and just being a masso, and you're like, who could be like that?
Do you think it's that Irish thing where it's like, you know, it's just like with your
Herbert
one?
Rodgers.
Well, yeah, like we
No,
think. No?
not begrudgery. You're not as big a Wayne fan as we are, and if he's too similar to you, you'd be like, that no.
I don't
You
understand
think
that.
Barry Keoghan's what?
I don't understand. I don't get that.
Oh, I think if he was more exotic, you'd probably rate him more because you're used to Northside Dubliners being able to do everything because
Because you can do everything, Wayne.
you can do everything, Wayne.
Jesus
Wayne's a
Christ.
superhero.
I no look. The dude can act. He's fine. I've no issue with his acting. I just thought I didn't see him as the Joker, and then I saw the clip, and I was like, I just, you know what it felt like? It felt like it was like a cosplay actor video thing where somebody put together a fan film,
Okay.
and then they super cut it in with Pattinson as the Batman. That's what it felt like to me. There was nothing wrong with it. It was put together. It just felt like that. It felt like it was like a fan movie, less than a deleted scene from a movie that I'd seen. I think they should have just left the Joker well alone until later, and if they're like, there's no need for him. There's no need for him. It's
No need
gonna,
to drop into everything.
yeah, it's the same thing with Superman. There's no need to put Lex Luthor in everything. There's no need to put fucking Zod in everything. There's an entire gallery, a rogues gallery of villains you can play with. Why the fuck is it all like? I get it. The Joker is the most popular Batman villain.
They're iconic, but also there's a whole mythology you can pick from.
Yeah, let Patterson fucking breed for a bit. Like, let him get to that point eventually. Like, you know.
I never signed off on the name Patterson. Can we strike that, please?
I mean, Bale suffered from the same thing because right at the end of Begins, it's like, here, they left his calling card. They call himself the Joker. Like, right at the end of the first fucking movie, they were like, here's the Joker, have a bit of that. And then, of course, we got Leisure, which is fine. It was phenomenal. But they're always too eager.
Yeah.
They're always too eager to just fucking rush the idea out there. And that's when that happens, we get Jared Leto. Do you know what I mean? Like, when they're too busy trying to get the iconic bad guy into every fucking situation, you're kind of going, lads, relax. We can wait. You know what I mean? We're not in any rush here. Like, you literally just made us watch 3 hours of the Riddler dicking about the place. We can wait 2 more movies for the Joker. You know?
I ask you guys a question.
Go on.
I wonder, is there just a gap in my brain? Has there ever been a good movie where Jared Leto is the star of the movie?
Requiem for a
Because
Dream.
I feel like I'm being... Is he the star of that movie?
Well, he's one of the main cast.
One of them. So
But he's not the star of the movie. That doesn't make him the star of the movie.
No,
Right.
I mean, it's an ensemble.
Star in Dallas Buyers Club, But I feel like he's been given to us as a bona fide movie star, and I don't believe that has been agreed on by the general public. I feel like he's never carried a film.
No.
Am I right?
I don't think he has. He also fancies himself some sort of guru and has retreats with fans that cost thousands of dollars, and he's a bit ick.
You can love
And
him, you just can't love him.
Little young.
Yeah.
And anyone who plays pop punk is dubious at best.
Unless you're Billy Joe Armstrong, because you can get away with it because you're Billy Joe
Oh,
Armstrong.
yeah.
And Jared Leto is not. Has anybody seen Morbius? I keep hearing it's terrible.
I want to see it because it's bad. That's why I want to
Yeah,
get
I'm,
into it.
I'm
I-
surprised.
To compete my expectations.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it, D-Man. It's surprised you haven't
haven't
rushed it.
got-
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a chance to, and hopefully this Wednesday, but only because, like, I'm not
Please go.
expecting much.
We're not
If-
watching
here we go. If Morbius is in it and he's a vampire, that's me done. I'm fine. That's grand. No, actually, there's a lot of Spider-Man lore that I'm kind of already angry with this movie, so I'm not expecting to like it, no matter like.
What is it you're angry with the movie for?
Yeah,
already?
they really fucked it up.
No,
They
I'm not
really-
expecting much. I again, I just want these type of that like Morbius. I want fighting Spider-Man in the Marvel universe. I don't want it to be, another movie on its own. Although they did okay with Venom, but I think they missed some stuff. It would have been better.
Did they do okay with Venom, Daz?
The two Venom
Has-
movies made a truckload of cash.
I didn't like the
Doesn't
sequel.
mean they're good.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, they're gonna keep making them because.
Oh, I
they're
know, that's
making a
what I mean, 'cause
truckload
they-
of cash.
Yeah.
I felt
You
I
know?
felt the sequel was a letdown for even me. But like because of all the fights with Venom and Carnage and all that lore and whatnot, and even the computer game Maximum Carnage, that's why that film let me down. So this again, I'm not going in with high expectations. But again, if there's a vampire in it and it's called Morbius, then
That Venom
Yeah,
sequel
they
was directed by Andy Serkis.
really.
Yeah, he directed it. Yeah. He's directing films now.
Because it seemed like he threw in. Sorry, and we're talking about a different movie now. It seemed like he threw in
Welcome to Pubcast.
he threw in like I'm trying to remember the other. There's meant to be other symbiotes there, like, and the creature that screeches, she's meant to be a symbiote, and there's meant to be other symbiotes that are Carnage's babies and whatnot. And there's a big huge storyline to that. So to throw that in just willy-nilly felt like a bit of a letdown. And then to do the trope that's always done with like old school Spider-Man is like, kill Carnage was kind of a bit of a kind of like there's so much you could have done before you did that. I just think they wasted a lot,
Marvel
what
has a thing for
I-
doing
I-
that
I'm
with its
also-
villains, though.
Huh?
They have a thing with doing that for like standalone one movie villains where they'll kill off villains that they didn't really have a long-term plan for, just to kind of as a stopgap until like Loki can turn up again or Thanos or whatever. Like a lot of the middle Marvel films have a villain that is just gone within one movie, and I think like it's surprising that Carnage. I haven't seen the Venom films. I'll be honest. I haven't seen either of them.
Oh shit! Sorry if I spoiled it.
No, you. Like I'm not
Is he
gonna hold.
published?
Sorry, I
Yeah, I'm
thought
not
we've
gonna
all
hold.
seen
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold any stock in them, man. I really haven't. But like, I probably will eventually watch them. Sure, we only got round. Like, I'd seen it already, but Irene hadn't seen No Way Home yet. We only watched it last night, but I'd seen it like a while ago. And obviously Eddie Brock turns up in the after credit sequence of that, and
I think
That's
there
the
was
best
debating about seeing
Venom
the movie
film
when
I've
it
ever
came
seen.
with Eddie Brock at the end of No Way Home.
That like 30-second thing. My the No Way Home is the first Marvel movie my kids made it through all the way, and they were really engaged, except Rebecca decided she'd go to the toilet during every emotionally charged character interaction. So cheers, Beck. So I gotta have a good look at that again because how very dare she? Doesn't she know the bits I like?
Yeah,
So I pulled out my copy of Moon Knight signed by Declan Shalvey saying, to Kim, you are the Moon Knight of my heart, which is interesting as a compliment. It's interesting. So sorry, we've had a symbiote invasion.
he heard you
I'll
say
be
her
back.
name.
It's trouble.
little heads. Like,
Little
hello.
baby.
I'm not here.
I see you.
Talking
Rebecca.
about Moon Knight.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get rid of this other personality of mine. I'll be back.
go on. Yeah. So have we all been up to date with Moon Knight? We watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the most recent episode.
I can't remember if I've watched the most recent episode. I watched the last one I saw was the one where he did the thing with the stars.
Well, then you
That's
haven't
not
watched the latest
Speaks-
episode.
You haven't watched Big Speaks then.
Yeah, I've been
You
busy
mentioned
writing
Rama
this
as
all
well,
this
yeah?
week. I've just been writing, so I'm
That's
behind on my shows.
hilarious.
I'm yet to catch up on Picard, and I'm yet to catch up on Moon Knight. So they're the two shows that I kind of sit and watch. They're on while I'm having breakfast or something in the morning. But
You watched Halo?
I watched the first episode of Halo.
Yeah.
And,
great.
and it starts off really strong, and then he takes off the fucking helmet. I'm like, no,
I
I'm
was
out.
about to say that was
Yeah,
me.
I was like, well,
he did it
what the
then. He took the
fuck is
fucking
this?
helmet off. That's what's supposed to happen.
Why
Yeah.
do they always want to get the helmet off? Like Dread seems to be
Mad to be
Dread
insane.
seems to be the only one where they say that's the one thing you don't take off. Now, this is the way it was until I had a discussion with someone, and I can kind of see sense to it. But I still would have rather if they left the helmet. What I heard was that the reason they took the helmet off, or this is their bullshit, is because in the computer games you are Master Chief, right? But the reason they took the helmet off is to say, no, you're not Master Chief. He's Master Chief, and you're going to come along for his story of how he finds out about
That
his
is
past and all
an
that.
absolutely ridiculous argument for it.
Indeed,
Bullshit
but
argument.
That is some bullshit.
Geek sauce.
just that
Yeah.
it was probably the actor going, I want my face
Well,
off.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't know who the fucking actor is, but he looks like a fucking potato. And it's like, what?
That's normally Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. But I mean, and maybe it's a good thing that they didn't cast somebody who's a known actor. I think he's been in other stuff. I think he has been in other stuff. I just haven't seen it. And I just think he is as soon as he took the helmet off and started to act and be John Spartan 117, I was like, no, leave the helmet on, dude, please. I have more. See, here's the thing. As a Halo fan, and I am a Halo fan, I've been there since the beginning, the first fucking iteration, all the way through to Infinite, and I have more of an emotional attachment to that fucking suit of armor than I do to any fucking potato head I'm going to see that he's going to take the helmet off. So all this idea of saying, well, you're not Master Chief anymore, it's this actor. No, I have an attachment to the suit, not the actor in the suit. So show me what happened, because all the bit at the start where the Spartans are dropping and taking out Covenant, I was like, fuck yeah, this is the shit I want. And I know they've changed the storyline. They've changed it a fair bit, and they've added in a lot of stuff to make it like an alternate idea of Halo. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I was in for that at the beginning. I knew that was going to be a thing. But whatever it was about him taking off that helmet and just saying, right, let's go, I just my interest in it just went, it just dive bombed. And I wouldn't mind, but everything else in that show looks amazing.
There's 4 episodes out now. I think,
All of the Covenant, the Prophets, I think it was Prophet of Regret. I don't know who we saw actually, what prophet we saw in the first episode. I can't remember. And then there's the human character, and it was look, the lore was there, the design was there. There was even nods to the old Bungie games of Marathon and Durandal. All the nods were there. And it looked phenomenal. And like they did that thing, Darren, I reckon you probably, you squidged in your pants a wee bit when you saw that they did that thing that they did in the Doom movie where they switched the first person shooter camera view.
Yes, and
where
that's
you
why I'm enjoying it.
where it's
Although I
like,
haven't seen it since. I think they just did it for that one, but that was cool.
Right at the start where the Spartans drop in and Master Chief is taking out Covenant elites. It's like, okay, they did that bit, fine, it's done, get it out of the way. But it's like, but overall, the acting was good. It looked great. The money is on the screen. All the effects look good. The ships look phenomenal. But as soon as you took off the fucking helmet, I was like, nope, I'm done. And I haven't gone back to it.
As Master Chief.
Out of it.
Physically, he is,
Yeah.
But again, I'm sure there's going to be a fan out there that's currently CGIing the helmet back on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
At the moment, I suggest you just put your thumb, follow your thumb around, and then you can get through. Because I'm enjoying it. Because I said I played everything up until when it went to the new Xbox. I haven't gotten that, so I missed out on that. And again, it did hurt for a while, and I did get my anger out. So and had a big huge rant with my brother about why the fuck did they keep on taking the helmets off? Have they not learned?
And he's the only Spartan that does it. Like the other Spartans that are in the show, they do the whole thing where you see them from the back of their head, and the helmet then goes on, and they turn.
Yeah.
I don't see why they couldn't do that with Master Chief.
You get to see their faces. They do that.
Do they? They do it later.
Yeah, I've only seen even more annoying.
I've only seen it like in the first episode, so obviously I don't see the other Spartans. Like, it reminded me a wee bit. Like, why not do it like the Mando in the Mandalorian? He had his helmet on for the entire show until the last episode of season 1, and then it was just he had no choice but to take it off, or else he was going to be fucked. And then even since then, he hasn't done it. It's still on. Like, Master Chief is an established character. Everyone knows what he looks like. Fans know that we don't see his face, and like it was Stallone Dread all over again. It was Stallone Dread all over again when it was literally the helmet was on for 2 minutes, and then everything after that. Then and they did the I see the clip after that where they did the Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man thing where you see his face inside the helmet. And he's got the heads up display and shit like that. And you're kind of going, what are you doing that for? We don't need that. That's
people credit, and they overvalue the actors. And they're like, people are here for Stallone. They want to see his face. And you're like,
no, we're not. We're there for that helmet and the
we're here for Rob Schneider. Let's be honest. That was.
But if you can get past it, Wayne, I think you'll enjoy it. But I can understand how. Like, I'm still angry that I would love to find the person that go back in time. Find the person that was going to say that idea. Why don't we take the helmet off and just go, no?
To me, that stinks of TV production by committee. That's what that stinks of. And whatever deal they have with that guy's agent. Like Carl Urban flat out refused to have his face shown when he played Dredd.
Because he was a fan of the comics as a kid, wasn't he? And he was like, no, absolutely, you should not see my face. Just focus on my amazing jawline instead.
And he literally had the
beginning when he's putting on the helmet, you see the shadow appear and you just see the jaw. That's all you should be seeing. Yeah. Just the jaw. The shadow and the light always gets in the way you see his face.
Yeah.
And
then when I start getting work done, I'm gonna go and ask for a Dredd chin.
Or Bruce Campbell. I'm easy. You know.
Oh my God!
That's awesome.
Who was here and I didn't know.
None of us knew.
Yeah,
I knew.
Yeah, well, you know all the things.
I knew. I only knew the night before it was happening. So what happened was I was online.
I would have left my kids in a bin for 2 hours to go in and see Bruce Campbell. To be grand, but Wayne, that would have been one you throw in the old chat there. You want to throw down the old chat there? Bruce
I didn't think, to be honest. I was talking to my buddy Dave about this actually, and I think it's.
You call him your buddy.
Well, my oldest friend Dave. You know.
There we go.
Yeah. Like people that are listening or watching this or don't know who Dave is, but you know. But anyway.
Word.
Yeah, they're the two best friends that anyone could have.
So Dave messaged me the day after so Bruce Campbell, for anyone who doesn't fucking know, Bruce Campbell came to Ireland. It was in the Lighthouse Cinema, probably the best cinema in Dublin City, in my opinion.
Easily running into Sam Raimi retrospective.
Yeah, so they're running a Sam Raimi retrospective, and Bruce Campbell came in to apparently a surprise, to announce he was Evil Dead. Really? Jesus.
Yeah,
okay. So
you saw the pictures, like they were in absolute shock, and the place was half empty. Like if they'd known he was coming up, that kit would have been full because I would have been there 5 times.
Well, this is what I don't understand. You see, so I was talking to was gaming on the Tuesday with the lads, and one of them turned around on the chat, said, "Lads, I've been offered. There's 2 tickets going for Evil Dead tomorrow in the Lighthouse. Bruce Campbell's going to be there if anyone wants to go." And I was like, "Nah, it's okay." Because he's been here before, and I didn't go to that either. He was in the Lighthouse a couple of years ago, and he was here for a special screening. And there's a fair few heads that we know were at that, met him, and got stuff signed.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, that happened. So that was a good few years ago now. I want to at least say 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I did know that Bruce Campbell was in the UK recently, and I think it was linked with Doctor Strange as well, because Doctor Strange and the multiverse thing is being directed by Sam Raimi, and of course he's going to put Bruce Campbell in the fucking movie.
I wonder what he's going to be. Is finally going to get a good nod or just a side nod?
I reckon he's going to be an alternate Doctor Strange for a second, like literally
it would work.
blinking in a miss it, and it'd be like he'll be Doctor Strange. But yeah,
in the car.
So I knew Mystique, because initially the rumor was back in the Sam Raimi Spider-Verse, when he was making the Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 4 was going to have Mysterio in it, and it was going to be Bruce Campbell.
For all his
because
hard work, he was going to get the out of
yeah.
work actor that, and it would fit really, really well with him.
And the
oh,
point,
yeah.
and the point was that all the characters that Bruce Campbell had played in the previous films were all Mysterio because he was building up to becoming the villain that he became in the fourth movie. Probably the best idea that the Raimi films had, because anyone that knows me knows that I didn't really like those movies a lot. I liked parts of them, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the Raimi Spider-Mans. And I've had people go, "What?" when I've said that, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You can tell I before, else I would have been a what merchant.
Yeah.
Wayne, has No Way Home made you look at them in a different light? Or
No Way Home, in my opinion, gave all of those actors who played the villains in the Raimi films, apart from Alfred Molina, because Alfred Molina was the best thing about the Spider-Man film he was in. I will always say that. He was phenomenal, and still is phenomenal as Doc Ock. And he was great in No Way Home. But I felt that William Dafoe finally got to give the two middle fingers to that horrible fucking costume Power Ranger outfit. That was it was one of the worst designs in cinematic history of a villain's outfit. That I think it stunted his performance. It stunted his performance, and he basically got rid of that outfit, and he was able to act and be William Dafoe and be the best Goblin I've seen on screen easily.
That grin is wicked. Anyway, it's iconic. It reminds me of Goblin whenever, even when he's just himself smiling. Is he channeling Goblin? I don't know.
And he's the nicest man. He's just the nicest man with the most giant dong, just chilling in his life, and he's able to act like that. He's just this mad-looking face, such a lovely face, gigantic cock, just chilling.
Probably why he's smiling constantly. That makes a lot of sense now.
He's great.
Yeah,
something of a porn star myself.
Please, title of the episode, please.
But like, I mean, yeah. But if you've seen, was it the Lars von Trier film that he was in? Was it Lars von Trier that he did with Your One in the Woods? What's the name of that movie? Am I right? Was it the right director? It was just because there was a while there where William Dafoe was just in these films for riding. That's all he was doing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Body Evidence is another cracker for us. Nice weirdos out there. If you were a bit weird in the 90s.
I got this image of him like talking to his agent, going, "No, I said writing." Yeah,
now he's doing movies with writing in them. But that's true. He had a Dublin agent who didn't understand him, Wayne. Or Darren. That's right. Because a lot of nice, absolute smut out there in the 90s for us. Jade and Sliver and Body of Evidence. You're like, give it.
Yeah. There was, and they tried to make a comeback there recently with the new Ben Affleck and that the fantastic female actress who was in Blade Runner 2049 as Joy, who a name always escapes me, and Mooney is more than happy to tell me what her name is, but very, very good actor, beautiful woman, but herself and Ben Affleck are in a new erotic thriller that they've brought out. It's out. Yeah.
It's out.
Can't remember her name though. She's a brilliant actress.
Oh man.
We have the internet at our disposal. We should be looking this shit up.
Although when we're in the pub, we don't. So
that is true. Well, we do and we don't. It depends. We just don't let on.
Anna de Armas.
That's her. Yeah, that's her. I've gotten to this, and this kind of loops back to what I was saying a while ago about the whole Bruce Campbell thing. My oldest friend in the world, Dave Murphy, messaged me about the Bruce Campbell thing the day after it happened and said, "Oh, did you know about this?" Blah, blah, blah. I said, "I did, and I knew he was going to be there." He says, "But it was meant to be a surprise." I says, "Well, when I was told about it, and I was offered tickets, I was told he was going to be there." But I think my sensibilities of my excitement about going to see things, if the promise of an actor is going to be there, has died over the years.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded. I don't know.
The Lighthouse got yelled at for not promoting that. And they came out and said, "Lads, we honest to God didn't know if he was going to be here until a half an hour before he was here."
That's
like
weird.
We didn't know whether he was going to get on. We didn't know based on his commitments in the UK whether he was going to make it or not. So they couldn't announce it. But then once he gets here, everyone like me is really mad because I've never met him. Did I tell you about the time I horrified a Booker award-winning writer?
No, go on.
No, which one?
Jan Martel, author of Life of Pi.
No
So
way, really?
I have Matt Man, our friend Matt Man, he has a copy of Bruce Campbell's autobiography, If Chins Could Kill, and it is inscribed to him. It was his mate Shane was in America, and he went to a convention, and Bruce Campbell was there, and he got the book signed by Bruce Campbell, and it said, I'm smiling so much because I know where this is going. He said, "Hey Matt, stay groovy. Love, Bruce." So I heard that Jan Martel, author of Life of Pi, incredible book, questionable film. Do you guys like the film?
I haven't seen it.
Well, I've yet to watch
I
it yet.
liked it.
Keep on meaning.
Anyway,
I haven't read the book.
the book is great. He's a Canadian writer, and he's a tiny little man, and he kind of didn't want to be at that press event anyway. It wasn't his fault. They brought out a very lush illustrated version of the book.
Mm.
Now it's a novel. If you're gonna bring out a picture book version of it, I don't know that they had his full consent, but the artist, the Polish artist that did the artwork, it's really beautiful. It was a stunning book.
I can guarantee you got paid anyway.
He got paid, but I think he was forced to promote it when he didn't really
Sure.
approve of the enterprise. And like artists out there, I feel your pain. I'm so sorry for the indignities you have to go through to get that bag. But he was in Dunleary in Debray doing a signing of this big, thick picture book, Life of Pi. So I got to ask him a good question during the Q&A. I was very pleased with the answer I got, and I seemed like a somewhat serious person. So I went up with the 2 copies of the book, and the first one was for me. And I said, "Hi, is it okay if I get these 2 signed?" And he's like, "Sure, sure." Like, "What would you like?" And I said, "Oh, anything. That one's for me, so anything you want to write." So he wrote, "Dear Kim, hope you find..." Spoilers for Life of Pi, redacted, okay? Love, Jan. Fine. Oh, or no, not love, Jan. Jan Martel. Fine. Second book. Okay. What do you want on this one? I said, "Could you write, Dear Matt, stay groovy." Jan Martel. And he did, lads, when I say he did the Sideshow Bob like shudder, like the body shiver, like he was
What my life has become.
he was so
Oh,
horrified.
man.
He fucking did it. He did it. And so I wanted all of Matt's books to have Dear Matt, stay groovy.
Stay groovy, whatever.
Yeah.
So but I feel like I shortened his life just a little bit by asking him to do that.
Stay
But
groovy.
you know, what are you gonna do? Not emulate Bruce Campbell everywhere you go? Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah.
start answering the phone like this.
Yeah.
That's
So, I mean, I'm
Oh.
sure he'll be back at some point, at an event
Yeah.
or, at a
He was back.
convention.
He was over a couple of years ago, so he'll...
Yeah, like it's not the first and not the last time he's going to be around. I wouldn't worry too much
I
about it. You'll
mean,
see him.
that sounds like you're really tempting fate there, Wayne. So I'm gonna if you could just stick things in the chat.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Run.
No, go. I was going to say any future notifications that I have told. When my Bruce Campbell tracker goes off, I'll make you
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wayne tick. Yeah, the nerd symbol that goes over the city. But yeah. What would it be? What would the bat symbol for Wayne be?
If I know, Jesus.
A pint.
Yeah, point of Guinness.
What were you gonna say, Jill?
Jill, what were you saying? Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, you guys have probably seen this because you've had Disney Plus a lot longer than I have. But there's a great little series called Hit Monkey. If anybody hasn't checked it out, you should check it out. Have you seen it, Wayne?
I haven't. No, it's on the list. It's on the list of multitude things to watch.
So, what's his face? Ted Lasso Jason
Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis. So he does one of the main voices in it. So does George Takei and Olivia Munn. And it's basically if John Wick was a monkey and had a ghost to guide him. That's it. That's the premise of the show. But it's on. If you're looking for it, it's technically on the Star Network under because it's for adults.
Yeah.
It's cartoon for adults. I think the episodes are maybe 22 minutes long. And it's nice and violent.
2 minutes on the go at any time. Yeah.
So it's really fucking enjoyable. I'm maybe about 6 or 7 episodes into it, and it's really good. Some people die horrifically.
Cartoon?
And it's wonderful, huh?
In a cartoon.
I know.
The hands of a monkey.
At the hands of this very sweet-looking monkey initially, but he's got some issues. And there's a whole thing where other monkeys die and they speak to him from the afterlife. See. So I get into fits of giggles whenever this happens because I'm just like, oh my god, it's like Mufasa from the grave. Remember who you are. But give it a go because it's great.
It is a Marvel show. It is a Marvel show as well.
Yeah, it's a Marvel show. Is it based on
Yeah.
a pre-existing comic?
Yeah, as far as I remember, Hitmonkey is a comic. It's one of those. So there was 2 series that they did in animated shows that the Marvel did, and I think they both premiered on Hulu in the States. I think, but they're on Disney Plus here. Yeah, Moduke is one of them, and Hitmonkey is the other one, and they're on Disney Plus. I mean, I think we didn't fully talk about it, but I think we're all watching it. I'm not up to date with the latest episode, but we've all watched Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was hooking y'all onto a Moon Knight chat before.
We kind of segued into Halo from that.
There was a segue on Pubcast?
Really?
Yeah.
Monkey on a segue. A hit monkey on a segue.
Monkey on a segue with.
Oh my god, I want to see a monkey on one of those things.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's really good. It's probably one of the better Marvel TV series that they're out there. And it's only meant to be 6 episodes long, or 6 or 7 episodes long. It's finishing up in yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a dead horse. Must be nice.
I love Ethan Hawke being a bollocks in Moon Knight.
Yeah. Good and creepy.
He's in The Northman as well. He's very good.
Oh, cool.
Is
that
he?
why you had the long hair then for that as well?
Or maybe it's not fancy
days,
wig.
have your hair as long as you're killing stuff.
I'm tempted to check out The Northman in the cinema soon, probably in the next week or so.
I would recommend it. I am a fan of things like Vikings and whatnot, and funnily enough, I don't think I had seen any Robert Eggers movies before I saw The Northman. Then I saw that last Monday, and then I watched The Witch the other night as well, which was fucking great.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal.
Your one with the eyes is in both. Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
But it's
you're one there with the eyes. You're one with the eyes.
It's got a phenomenal cast. It's the very delicious Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy.
I'm going off. I have to get ready.
Oh yeah. Kim, you're just gonna go to this movie because you've got Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe. I'm missing people now as well, but they're the top 5.
Bjork is in it too.
Bjork is in it. Bjork shows up as a kind of witchy character. Don't want to give anything away, but she's all spooky and ethereal. So I'm like, oh my god, of course it's Bjork.
Yeah.
Jill, do me a favor. I presume because you're a completist and a collector, I presume you're going to watch The Lighthouse the next while. Would you please text me after you watch it? Please text me your first thoughts. Really.
It was on the list of stuff that I was going to watch the weekend, and it was just The Witch one.
The Witch is a cracking film.
Yeah.
Great.
I can take my father to the cinema about once every 10 years. And I normally bring him to some big mad event that the cinema makes the most of. And I thought Northman might be the next thing. Is there too much riding in it to sit beside your dad?
There is a bit of riding in it now.
Yeah,
There's naked riding in the woods. Um,
Ortho. Mind you, the last thing we watched together was in the cinema was Django Unchained, so we might be all
I watched There's Something About Mary in the cinema with my mother when I was 15, and I don't know
Oh,
who died of embarrassment more
here's
that
the-
day. And remember we talked about it like 10 years later. It was like, were you mortified? Yes, I was. Were you? Yeah, I was.
I never. The only thing I ever watched with my parents when I was younger, there was two things, right? And it wasn't really so much mortification as that they had worries about me afterwards. I watched Reservoir Dogs with my mum, right? And this was when it was banned, and I had to get a pirate copy of it from a kind of a car boot sale market out in the country somewhere, right? And it was a perfect copy too, because it was like just a copy from a video from the UK. And then the second thing I used to watch with my dad weekly, because he only stayed up to watch it with me because he thought I was fucking strange, was Twin Peaks. Like my dad, the most north side of Dublin men of his generation, he's now in his 70s, would not have a fucking clue what was going on,
Yeah.
but sat there to make sure that I wasn't going crazy.
Wait, how sound is that he wanted to kind
There
of
you were all
support
right.
and be there in case it was
I-
off.
I-
How sound?
I think, yeah, and I get you, sure. I think that was part of it. I think also the fact is, like, I'm so different to everyone else in my family that my dad at some point was trying to find something to bond with me over, and he thought that
Yeah.
this was it. And it was like, no, but I could see his face watching it going, this isn't it. And then we did eventually find stuff to bond over. Like my dad gave me my love of building models. And I gave him a love of playing the Mega Drive. Because
Hey. And you
yeah,
love
well,
Western.
no, Westerns came from my granddad. Boxing came from my granddad. Because
More stuff came from your granddad.
more stuff came from my granddad and my dad. But my dad gave me my love of building models and all that type of stuff. But it was really.
Normally, what happens is the weird kid just ends up like pretending to like football to bond with his dad.
I
And I
know,
love that he crossed the line.
My dad was not a foot. My dad. See, that's the thing. My dad's not a football person.
On Jeff.
My dad is not a football person. My brother is a football person, but my dad isn't. My dad isn't. My dad doesn't have a team. He doesn't follow any. My dad isn't into sports. It's probably something I got from him. But
No, but what I just mean that normally the kids make some step across to try and like even fake an interest in something their dad likes because they're trying to make a bond, and he came to you instead.
sure,
I think that's great.
yeah. But no, I mean, when I grew up and moved out, like it obviously changed because he was like, you know, he didn't keep watching Twin Peaks. He didn't watch the sequel series. You know what I mean? He didn't go track that down. But yeah, look, it is a thing. Like there is a generation of Northside Dublin families that like there's that like that Gen Z, Gen X kind of weird gap where it was a complete generation gap for a lot of people, and TV and like I grew up in the burgeoning moments where Channel 4 was showing anime at 2 a.m. in the morning, and we were all staying up to watch it or else record it, and you know the families didn't know what the fuck this shit was, you know.
Wayne,
So
you just fucked up one of my sob stories. I like to talk about how I didn't get to see anime until college. You're telling me all I had to do was like stay up later.
yeah,
That and
It
Old School Godzilla, always late night.
yeah. Yeah, Channel 4 was the gold mine of that shit. Like I remember there was a series of it was you want to say it was like I want to say it was like late kind of maybe 93, 94. Definitely 93 where Channel 4 showed for about 6 months, 6 to 8 months they had weekly. They had an ongoing. They showed all the OAVs, so the mini series of anime. So they had 3 by 3 Eyes, Tokyo Babylon. They showed Dominion Tank Police. All of these anime series that are like at the time were like 5 parts or 2 parts or 3 parts. Then they showed The Legends of the Five Kings, which is like a 12-part story for 12 weeks.
anime, isn't it?
Well, at the time, that's what, like now you're looking at Naruto and Bleach and stuff like that, where, and that's even old at this stage. Now it's like Demon Hunter and all that type of stuff, and Death Note and all those type of things are long. Like Naruto is ridiculously long. It's kind of like the Pokemon format as well, though, where Pokemon is, you know that. And funnily enough, and I messaged today about this. I messaged the group chat about this today. My daughter, as of today, has started watching Pokemon. 4 years of age, and Irene was sitting there going. Irene was like, "Look at the fucking proud face on you. You're so smug." She's watching anime. I'm like, "Yeah, big time, yeah." But there you go. Here's Jiggly. But yeah, she
call me Jiggly.
she knows the theme song. It's Pokemon Journeys, Kim. That's what she's watching.
It's so good. It's one of one of Ash's best rig outs is X and Y. That kind of trend. I have to say
Pokemon
the
still goes over me.
yeah, you're going. But I wish like I was such a fucking Gen 1er when we did our Pubcast special on Pokemon.
That still is one of the most popular episodes.
Ooh, babe.
That still gets downloaded a lot.
Say they were annoyed after this. I love to see what point they went off because Naomi and Ryan are bringing the heat, and I'm like, yeah, I like Arcanine. But like since then, like between the games and my kids' interest in the card game and things like that, I have a more holistic view of the whole thing. But Pokemon was my first anime, and it's so dopey, and I love that weird kids. Shout out to the weird kids that can just watch anime whenever they want. I mean, that it feels like a human right. It feels like a service. You should have
Yeah.
housing, food, and anime if you're weird. And that's just saying it right now. And the Pubcast party endorses this as a basic tenet of
Yeah.
our manifesto.
Yeah, big time. I mean, because I remember me and Mike growing up when Chartbusters was the thing, the alternate to Extravision, like the version of Blockbuster that we had in this country, because they used the same kind of font and color as Blockbuster, but it was called Chartbus. Yeah. But they were the only video rental store you could go and rent anime at the time. So they had the one in Blanchardstown Village had this anime section. I think I've said this before on Podcast many moons ago. But they had an actual anime section that had the old manga, or at the time, the brand new manga distributed VHSs of Legend of the Overfiend, Akira, Dominion Tank Police, Project Echo, Crying Freeman, Fist of the North Star, all of them that they came out in the early 90s that eventually made it onto Channel 4 late at night. I still have all of those VHSs upstairs. I bought them all. I have them upstairs. They're still there. I've got like a stack of... What? I have a VHS player. I have a dual... Sorry, do I have what?
I said you've anything to play them on, but
yeah,
you've
sorry, yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got a dual DVD VHS player up in my study that I watch them on. So
Wayne, how's your cardiac situation before I say the next thing?
Fine.
You okay? Your blood pressure's okay?
My blood pressure's
I'm
okay.
saying Jewel, and now I've got dreams last for so long in my head.
Wayne,
yeah, go on.
I have never seen A, Akira, and B, The Evil Dead.
No Evil Dead.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
I've seen Army of Darkness.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, like Evil Dead 2 essentially is a remake of Evil Dead.
Yeah.
You know, we all know that. That's fine. Akira, that's fine if you haven't seen Akira. That's okay. There's people out there. You know.
With you for how long, and I've never seen Akira.
This has come up a few times with different.
You can only do so much with you.
No.
See, I don't sit people down and go, here, fucking Clockwork Orange the bollocks out of them. And I don't Clockwork Orange people and go, watch this bollocks, and just jam your eyes open. Like,
it tends to be a bit of symbiosis when you're living in the house with someone, and there was, I feel like you had about 8 versions of Akira. Like I feel like
I do. Yeah. I've got Akira on V. So here's the thing. Here's the thing with Akira, right? Akira has had, and I could be wrong on this, but roughly, easily, has had 4 different dubs in English, right? And the Japanese dub... Well, it's the thing. The original English dub is what the first version I saw, and the voice actors that are in that are some of them are the same voice actors that ended up being voice actors in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the Fred Wolf Studios that we watched in the 90s.
Right. Okay.
So the likes of who did Tetsuo's voicing, Canada's voice, and a few other
Right.
heads, you're kind of going, I know that voice. That's that voice actor who's, I know that voice. And but then they dubbed it. And it happened to a couple of other animes as well, where there was redubbings of re-releases, and it's different. But the Akira one has had multiple dubs and multiple re-releases where even the subtitles are different. So I have to have each version. So I have Akira on video on VHS twice. I have it on DVD twice. I have it on Blu-ray. I have a Blu-ray box set, really nice Blu-ray box set that's ancient now at this stage. I have that, and then I have it on 4K
I
re-release.
was just gonna say, have you got it on 4K?
A beautiful 4K re-release came out there at the start of the pandemic, and funnily enough, I got it through Zavi, who are famously shit at sending things to you on time, and when they don't send it to you on time, they just send it to you again. So I got 2 copies. So I gave one to Mooney because he wanted to buy it, and then it was gone. So I gave it to him, and then
3 shout-outs in this episode. Jesus.
did he? Okay.
That's
But and in fairness, he gave me Saving Private Ryan in 4K, which is
Nice.
So I have a lot of copies of Akira. The same way I've got multiple copies of Ghost in the Shell as well.
yeah.
Yeah, because they're the 2 quintessential animes that most people have. Funny enough, and this is a slight segue, but it links. Yesterday was World Book Day, and I went and joined up to the local library. Unbeknownst to me, that was World Book Day, but I still went. And I got some nice books. And Dublin libraries now, they're all getting nicely renovated, and they all look phenomenal. And they've got some great initiatives for kids, which helps Amelia. And I've chatted with you guys about this off stream or off recording, but you can now borrow video games, DVDs, Blu-rays, that fucking works. And they have 4 copies of Akira in their DVD library, all different versions of all different iterations throughout the years, from the initial DVD release, Blu-ray, and two different Blu-ray releases, and one of them is a steelbook. And this is in the Kulak library, and it just fucking blew my mind that stuff is just sitting there on the shelves. It was great
Somebody
to see.
to discover.
Yeah. It's like yeah. But I mean, see, we've gotten to the stage now in the pop culture lexicon and general zeitgeist thing where there have to be people out there that have never seen it.
Yeah.
They've never heard of it, they've never seen it, because it's kind of come back around. All the stuff that it influenced, because that came out in 88.
Mm-hmm.
Probably hit our shores in the early 90s. The generations of filmmakers that have been influenced by that movie and subsequent other anime films that came out, like Ghost in the Shell, that then influenced, like the Wachowskis were influenced by Akira and Ghost in the Shell when they were making The Matrix, big time. But there's other filmmakers that have been influenced by that, and it's a circle that's going to come back around, that more and more people are going to rediscover these things and classic films that they've never seen. And it is, I think, given the discourse following this year's absolute debacle that was the Oscars, and the comments that were made about animation at the Oscars, and how it's not taken seriously as a filmmaking process, when I think in this day and age,
But I think everybody knows that is bullshit when you consider the level of animated movies that are coming out. Like, even the worst animated movies are still well received. Like, considering the drought there was at certain periods in time, we're absolutely ruined. Like, the quality of the things the kids are watching these days.
Yeah.
And then my only issue with current animated movies is, I mean, if you look at things like Encanto and Turning Red, it is so good for kids and adults to be absolutely feasting on the same material, to be able to bond with your kids about this. The only thing is, if you're going to see them in the cinema, they're 2 hours long or a 20-minute short. What the fuck? That's my only concern about that. I was going to say, she did, lads, she did refill this. She said she wasn't gonna, but then when she got off camera for a few minutes, she fucking did, which means I lost the thread. It was something you were saying, Wayne, about the library. and I was going to ask you about something, but I forget. So moving on, how are you, lovely people?
Good. I'm going to go for a pee break, so talk amongst yourselves.
Good.
Oh, okay,
I know
okay.
because we're bringing up cartoons and whatnot, and I just want to say, like, I love Pacific Rim, and the second season of The Black just dropped on Netflix. So it's like
What's the
a big
black, Darren? I've never heard of it.
it's well, if you're a big Pacific Rim fan, it kind of continues the story, and I'm going to butcher it because I've already forgotten half of like the first season, but it kind of it's a few years on, more kaiju have come true, humanity's not doing so well, people are hiding and whatnot, and it surrounds about this couple.
Animated.
It's animated, yeah. I
Oh,
it's kind of computer animated more than, like, what we're used to. And I'm at the beginning I wasn't enjoying it, but I've gotten used to it now. But I'm loving the story. Like
why would you keep watching something when there's so much content and every time we talk about anything on podcast, one or two of us always goes, "Oh, been meaning to see it. Oh, been meaning to see it."
Mm.
There's so much stuff. Golden age of television, blah blah blah.
There's too much stuff.
Why
There's
would
like
you
I've got two other shows I
Yeah,
wanted to mention
but
for the
there's
recent
so
stuff.
much genuinely good stuff out
Mhm.
there. Why would you persist with something where you didn't like it at the beginning? How many
Well,
episodes did you
no. It was. You see, it was the story was brilliant, but I wasn't the animation. I thought I don't. I'm not
Ah,
really a fan of that type of like too much CGI. But it's just an old version. It's just something from when I was young, and I've decided nope, get rid of that because this is good, and I'm enjoying it now. I fear change. No, I'm also the reason I'm a big Pacific Rim fan. And even though Wayne just zoomed in for a second,
Wayne
I
just
loved
did
one, and
beautifully.
I will say it, like I didn't really enjoy two as much as others, but I can see why. So that's why when the series dropped and continued the story, and as I said, it centers around a family. The mother and father are pilots, and they're pretty much they're hiding with their kids, and they have to like leave to kind of to find help. And then it continues like 15, sorry, when it goes back to the kids, they're 15, 16, and they find this kind of training Jaeger, and they go out to find their parents, and the story starts there. And this is the second season, and well, I'm really enjoying it. I'm halfway through.
I
It's
didn't
only
even know
seven.
this existed.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
yeah.
me
I'm
either.
Again, it's on Netflix. Pacific Rim: The Black. Take it with a pinch of salt. Remember, I'm liking it, but
well, I
but
will say this, team man. I actually loved the second film, and I know you didn't like it as much. So
it was. I could never get the words across when sometimes because I was so heated. But I think for me, Pacific Rim was very dark, bleak. Humanity was about to go, and
Yeah.
then and I could say it now because I've had a lot of time to think on it. Pacific Rim 2, most people were losing their shit because someone from like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was in it again, and he had more of a bigger part, and that's what I found people were focusing on. It was more Transformers-y. It was less bleak. It was, oh look, here's more like
mm.
robots. That bleakness, that the sacrifice of the characters from the first movie, that got left. It's like, let's put loads of giant robots on. Let's like get rid of this bleakness. Let's have the kids more involved. It was pretty much another. As much as I love Transformers, it felt like a Michael Bay Transformers movie without remembering what happened before.
Who
Whereas
directed the next one?
the
Well, I can't remember. I can't remember.
I've never watched it since, and that's why I don't like a movie when I can tell you how much I haven't watched it, and I haven't watched it since. So there's another movie that I don't like, and
D-man, can I ask? See, the reason why I loved it, right? And I know this is like, we're doing fucking. It's like, yeah, number two. We're doing kind of like discussion necromancy here because we're bringing something back that like it's from forever ago, but
Yeah.
I loved it because at the time I was reading a comic book, and I don't know if it's finished actually because I don't know if it. I can't remember. I think it has, but Mech Cadet U was the name of the comic book from Boom Studios, and Pacific Rim 2 was pretty much the plot of that comic book, which was about a bunch of kids who were saving the universe in giant mech robots. And I thought that's why I loved it anyway. And
well, this is why. But it's funny. It's because like this thing it's set from it's about the kids. They grow up and they find the training mech. Sorry, the training Jaeger, and they go to find their parents. And I'm loving that because it's done in such a way, the story, that the bleakness is still there. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I think it was too for me anyway. They got rid of the bleakness, and I couldn't believe it. Whereas if they would have done what this is doing, I would have been sitting there going, yes, that's my only problem with
Sure,
that.
sure.
You know, like but like yeah, that dropped on Netflix was my point for anyone that has been looking for something for their Pacific Rim kind of something to watch. That's there.
Well,
Darren, this is a safe space. You never have to apologize for saying mech instead of Jaeger, instead of Guy Melif. We are inclusive
No, I
of
should have
all
said
giant
Gundam. You know,
robots
it would have been better.
on the
Mm.
podcast. We embrace all giant robots.
One last. Well, actually, there's two things I want to say, but they're brief things. You mentioned oh god, that
Take
show you
your
were watching
space,
when you were
Darren.
young. I've just forgotten it now, and I wanted Twin Peaks.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason I want to bring it up is because it's funny. I watched an episode of Outer. No, I'll have the name because the internet. Yeah, Outer Range. Have you watched that yet?
That's the new Josh Brolin show,
Yeah,
isn't it?
with Thanos, Josh Brolin. It's coming out each week.
Is it good?
I watched the first episode, and now I understand Twin Peaks a little bit more. Not
Okay.
by much, but I was kind of like, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
I
And why do I
saw-
want to watch more of it?
I saw the trailer and I saw him talk about it on Hot Ones a couple of weeks ago, and it looked really interesting.
It looked.
He
it's
was
just-
talking about a Twin Peaks spin-off while eating fucking wings.
No, it's not a spin-off, but I can understand. Yeah,
It's weird, and I got some of it because
set in a ranch.
yeah, set in a ranch, a family. There's stuff to figure out, and then there's other stuff and you're like, huh? But again, it could turn bad, it could turn good. It Josh Brolin's in it, which as a cowboy on a ranch, he's doing it really really well. And the bit of the plot I can understand, I'm enjoying, but the other stuff I can't wait to find out what the fuck it is and what's going on. But anyway, that's why I'm like, I now understand a little bit. But again, I haven't watched all of Twin Peaks.
But that was
I kind of watched a bit of it and went, okay, yeah, I'll come back to this, and I will.
I'm halfway through season 2, having a hard time.
Of what? Twin Peaks?
Dim though, in fairness, like it's a bit dim.
I mean,
My
like,
sexual alarm is going off non-stop.
it is. No, there's a lot of pretty looking people in that show,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I love the fact that it was really weird because myself, I really had never seen it. And a couple of years ago, I really had never seen it. So I was like, look, this is one of my all-time favorite shows. And I will tell you this before we go into it, before we even start it, it ends on a cliffhanger. And at that particular moment in history, there was no new season. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't even a fucking blip on the radar. So I was like, look, it ends, like, and there is a resolution, but something happens at the end. You're kind of going, I want to see the rest of it now. And at the start she's like, okay, so this is like a murder show. I was like, yeah. So we started to watch it. Yeah, we started to watch it, and she just got
The
hooked.
human condition is a murder.
Yeah. But like you said, Kim, it helped that there was a lot of good looking people in it. Like it's one of those 90s shows that, but Lynch always does that. David Lynch always casts good looking folks in his movies. If you're not,
He invented that. It wasn't a thing in Hollywood before he did that, so that's so great. Thank you, David. But I'm just at all times you're like, okay, Kim, buckle in. We'll be back at the cafe soon. I'll be fine. She'll take
Yeah.
care of you.
It's very 90s. It's got a defining 90s feel to it, and Lynch is very 90s for me in my head, because you had Twin Peaks, you had Lost Highway. Lost Highway for me was like, it was that college movie that I saw when I was in those formative years in college, where it was just like,
Great soundtrack.
oh,
Snails did
The soundtrack is phenomenal.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I remember from the soundtrack more. I can't remember the movie, and I went to see it in the cinemas at all but I remember the soundtrack.
yeah, no, like the David Bowie, 9 Inch Nails, Smashing Pumpkins, like, phew,
Yeah.
great stuff. Like, but I saw that in the IFI, and I was in college at the time, and it was one of those movies like when, everyone in our generation, or my generation at least, because I'm a bit older than the rest of these, but
Go ahead and talk shit. Wayne.
although D-Man, I think D-Man's older than me.
I'm August. I think you are by a couple of months, but I could be wrong.
Are you August 70? Are you August
I'm
77?
28 August,
77 or 78?
78.
Okay, so I'm older than you. So I'm the oldest, obviously. Okay.
Like, what age am I again?
Yeah.
Three of us are Zennials. and one of us is skating away from us, going "Toodaloo, motherfucker!"
But I identify as a Gen Xer. This is it. I'm a millennial that
Well,
identifies
you've
as
really
Gen
earned
Xer.
your stripes. You've earned your stripes. You can
Yeah.
sell us out at any time, but you have earned your stripes.
But again, there's that generational of, and it was really weird because, funnily enough, of all the things that actually I got a wee bit nostalgic about that time. The other night, the new season of Dairy Girl started.
I haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah.
anything yet.
Yeah,
I know who appears in it, and I'm very excited.
yeah. Irene watches it religiously.
So chill, like all the t-shirts and all the shit, like it's all just no perfect.
Yeah. So Irene watches it religiously. I watch it through osmosis with Irene. Actually, I haven't sat down and watched a full season of it myself, but Irene is a big fan of it. And the first episode was on, and the soundtrack of it was literally, it's 96 to 97 was the soundtrack in the episode.
Teenagers, yeah.
So that was my college. That was the start of my college moments. So it was like, oh fuck, and it just literally kicked off this endorphin levels of, geez, full on member berries, like member, and that was that. Like it was a case of, because they had everything from a bit of the Train Spotting soundtrack to fucking, even I think they actually had some. I don't know if they had Prodigy, but it was just It's just that moment where you just like, your brain goes, oh yeah, remember that? Fuck. And it made me want to go watch Human Traffic or something again for the first time in forever. It's nostalgia is a dangerous and endorphin inducing thing.
I remember a lad was running a drug awareness workshop for parents in Cavan. And he was talking about the movie Trainspotting being a problem because it glamorized drugs. And I don't know how
I didn't think so.
Captain
I'm not going to say if we did or didn't.
This person who was never going to be sound enough to be around anyone who had any drugs ever was happened to be there with my dad, and he was talking about how Train Spotting glamorized drug use, and I'm like, so people died from toxoplasmosis from cat shit. Like people who hallucinated babies on the ceiling. What are you talking about? People shot themselves when they didn't want to. What are you talking about? And he turned around and he goes, that film had the best soundtrack for 25 years. That film had the best soundtrack since Superfly. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to shut the fuck up right now because I got nothing to say to this man. I'm like, okay, all right, okay. Drive boy, dog boy, dirty dumb angel boy. You win this round.
But we were spoiled, if you think about it. Like, if you want to talk nostalgic about soundtracks of films, I mean, the 90s had some of the best soundtracks for pop culture and movies. Oh my god, that is not. I never expected it to go there, but
Go off, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, if you think about it, like it's crazy the amount of soundtracks of that. And like, and I'm sure, like, if you look at the films now, right, and people can complain about the Marvel domination of movies, but the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack sold a fuck ton.
Oh yeah.
But it's that, I think we were spoiled to a degree because we had Train Spotting soundtrack was huge. Everyone fucking listened to that for sure. The Crow soundtrack was another one.
The Bodyguard, god damn it. She's gonna keep going with this. That fucking soundtrack was in the top 10 for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Something else.
Like
that was the case when you were buying your DVD and whatnot. You'd be like, oh, I have to get the soundtrack as well. Whereas,
lads, I've one more.
I think I ever got the pull to do that lately, but the urge.
Darren, that's because we're old. It's Kim refilled this 2.5 times the clock, so I'm just gonna do one more musical interlude for this section.
Okay.
I will feel the way that you kiss me. Go West being introduced to Americans, by the way.
Yeah.
To the talk of the town, and maybe I could fool myself. The Pretty Woman soundtrack.
Yeah.
6 thumbs up. I'm gonna find thumbs to put thumbs up.
Yeah, there was a serious moment in the 90s, and then following on from Train Spotting, I do remember this, and I actually only remembered it recently.
Was single still? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know. I was trying. I was staying quiet for the. I was going to see who brought it up first.
sure. I was going to bring it up, but the one I'm talking about now is Life Less Ordinary. Do you remember that film?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rich Hall had a great joke when he went, "A life less ordinary, lifeless and ordinary." Uh, it's an easy joke, but
Yeah.
I thought that movie was great. But has anyone got a quote from a movie that you use non-fucking stop, but because the movie wasn't that popular, it doesn't sound like a reference and you just sound like a dickhead? Mine is from A Life Less Ordinary. I spent my whole life going, it's not that interesting, Robert. She says it about 9 times, I think, in the film, and nobody gets that. Oh fuck, Wayne's World, lads! The theme, the soundtrack to Wayne's World. The other nobody remembers that quote. Kim, stop using it as a quote. Is I would turn around in a week and use this at least twice. Who's Anthony? Who's Anthony? From Wayne's World, and that's not a quote from Wayne's World. People remember quotes from Wayne's World. That's not the one anybody remembers.
And the thing about it is that when was the last time you had a conversation with anyone about Wayne's World?
Yeah. Wow. Well, that new advert about Dr. Evil that was advertising something and seeing all the cast there old, it's kind of like, wow, I didn't know. Do you know, there's an advert, I think, for cars or something, and the entire cast of Dr. Evil and all the others are there sitting there talking about it, and I'm just sitting there going, oh God, if they're that old, then I'm that old, then Wayne's World is, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go to the young ending.
Yeah. It's like as I'm saying, like there's a cultural thing there about the 90s, which, funny enough, I was actually having this conversation with Irene I think it was only last night, that it's now 90s is now the new big revival. That's what the new.
Do you remember all that peace and prosperity? These poor fucking kids these days are like, can we do that?
Yeah.
Can we have that?
Yeah.
Let's have that.
Yeah.
Peace and prosperity. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so look.
Which is why we're all so mad. You have to be mad when there's peace and prosperity.
Yeah. I mean, it's and it circles back to the Batman because. Well, it's yeah. It does circle back to the Batman because the Batman has reintroduced a lot of people to Nirvana for the first time.
Yeah.
With something in the way, and you just look like Dave Mustaine, Kim.
She always looks like Dave Mustaine. She's 1 second away from looking like Dave Mustaine at any moment.
I remember.
You foxy prick.
I remember this ad on MTV, and I think I've talked about this on Pubcast before. Back when MTV played the music, they used to have these little mini ad segments that had the artists and stuff like that, and a large chunk of the early 90s was grunge, rock, and metal, kind of circulating throughout that. And there was an ad with Dave Mustaine in it talking about the do's and don'ts of attending a gig, right? And what it was Dave Mustaine, it was so fucking badly put together. It was like Dave Mustaine was. Did he say what?
Did he say don't mention the Ra?
There was no mention of the Ra, but what he did was the whole thing was the etiquette of not spitting while at a gig. Do not spit at people on stage. And he was superimposed over like footage of gigs, but he was lying down, like, you know, a la Burt Reynolds' Playboy or Playgirl spread, but fully clothed. But he was lying down, like, and he would zoom into shot and float about the place. He's like, it's really not cool to like spit at people on stage when they're playing their bands, man. And then he'd wobble and fly off the other side of the screen, and that has stuck with me for years. Like, that's Dave Mustaine because he's the guy that they kicked out of Metallica because he was more annoying than Lars Ulrich, you know?
Darren, can I campaign to be the person that Wayne makes the PSA about role playing, where I get to be the person that shoots off after saying, "Don't kill all your characters"? Would that be good?
Yeah. We're coming up on just shy of the 2-hour mark, so I'm just gonna literally this is the moment we're gonna do some self-flagellation where we talk about what we are doing. So this is the first podcast in a very, very long time in regards to us actually just talking shite and having booze for a while. But which is awesome. But we are currently there is one episode of our now campaign 2 Sorcery and Shenanigans, our D&D campaign, is available to watch on our YouTube channel and listen to where all podcasts are found. It is the 4 of us playing Dungeons and Dragons, and we have just started. And funnily enough, it hasn't gotten there just yet in the campaign. I'm not spoiling anything here because we announced this back in January. This will be what's called a Spelljammer campaign. So we are going to space. It's D&D in space. That's what it is. So I got the idea to do this off the back of Irene very kindly out of the middle, just out of fucking nowhere, for Father's Day last year, got me the original Spelljammer box set that was like a collector's edition from many moons ago for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, 2nd edition, I think it was. And she got that for me as a gift for Father's Day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to adapt this for our next D&D campaign. I want to do a bit of fun and put D&D in space. And then Wizards of the Coast have announced that they're bringing back Spelljammer for 5th edition. So we are...
They made it less exotic, but we
already... We're gonna be quite deep into our campaign by the time this finally hits the general public, because it's not getting officially released until August, and we're going to be a good few episodes into our campaign by the time it gets out there. But it's the big talk of the social media scene as far as tabletop RPGs are concerned. That and the fact that Dragonlance is coming back. But our D&D campaign is kicking off, and we were recording the 2nd episode on May the 1st, with the hope of it being online on May the 2nd for you all to enjoy and take part in. I want to say thank you to everyone that's checked out the first episode so far. We've really solid viewership and listenership on the podcast and on the episode up on YouTube. And thanks to our sponsors, Dublin City Comics and Dakota Irish. We have more stuff coming from them. There is a competition. The Dakota Irish Code was active and valid for a week after our original air date. It's now not valid anymore, but we are working with Dakota Irish for more giveaways and more surprises, is all I'll say. But also with Dublin City Comics as well. I was talking to the folks from Dublin City Comics, and they've got some great stuff coming down the pipelines as well, to do with ourselves and what we're doing. So they are our sponsors, and that's why, if you're watching us on YouTube, they're on their symbols and logos are on the screen now with our own, because they are continually sponsoring us, and they're great, both fantastic Irish owned businesses. Cannot recommend them enough. DublinCityComics.ie and DakotaIrish.com. Go check them out.
Shut up and give them your money.
Yeah, they're brilliant folks, and they support us wholeheartedly, and we really appreciate it. So yeah, we're going to be recording our next D&D campaign very soon, and you'll be able to catch up with us. And we hope to have more pubcasts, and hopefully, fingers crossed even, we get to do this in person very, very soon. Because we do plan on D&Ding on the next episode in person. So when we do the next episode of Sorcery and Shenanigans, it's going to be in person, where we're all sitting in the same room after 2.5 years of doing it online.
This box that we're in, finally.
Snacking, vibing.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I won't be eating nachos, Kim, don't worry. You're using a lot of weird dice, though. I got cool Caltrop dice. I can't wait to use.
That's because, actually,
Caltrop dice.
That's it, D-Man. You were...
The dice version of the things I bought in the last session. But I haven't stood on them yet to see if they're as bad as Lego.
Don't.
I'm kind of actually going to ask that. Yeah, they're I don't know. No, they're packed away in the bag for Sunday, so that's why I don't have them.
Pack this bag already, lads.
D-Man, tell us. You were actually tell the listeners and ourselves here. You went to Lorcon.
To talk about.
Yeah, Lorcon. Well, I'm going to go grab another point real quick. Let's talk about Lorcon.
And it was actually the first time I was out of the house with in a group, but I was at Lorcon. Was it last Saturday? In Underworld Gaming. And it was great because it's literally 10 minutes up the road. It's just right near the square is the best thing. You come out of the square, you walk down the traffic lights, you cross over, and it's just down that alleyway. Really good people in there, really nice. But they with together with Penny Wayne, what's their name again? Oh, he's frozen.
Penny Dragon Games.
Penny Dragon.
Penny Dragon Games.
Yeah, Penny Dragon Games. They decided to
I
do
know stuff.
a role playing day, and it was really good. You just bought your ticket online, showed up at the door. They gave you it pretty much they gave you your little bag of swag, and then they said just look at the board, see what you like, and go to a table. So I went up, 10 tables, each with the DM's name and the name of the adventure. That's all they gave you, and you read it, and if you liked the name, you go and you would sit down. And the one table, it was funny. The table I was drawn to was the one that kind of had this. I can't remember the title, but it was to do with monster hunting. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And also, it was funny because the DM was someone I used to. I think we were one of the 5 rockers back in the day in school, and I hadn't seen him since then. So I didn't know what way to judge because Dublin is a small place, but so is Tala, except more knives. So I walked up and I was like, all right, Dave. And he was like, all right, Darren. I was like, any chance I could sit at your table and play D&D? And he goes, no problem, sir. And it was amazing. It was
so refined,
like
so
that.
polite. I love it.
The level of stuff on his, I was so glued to the adventure, to what was going on the table. I didn't do my usual look around to see what was going on any of the other tables. I wasn't even aware that they were taking pictures until I went for my lunch and got to Wi-Fi, and then it just ping, 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 Darren's at this, and I'm like, I am? And pretty much we were sent on a quest to find out what it was. Stereotypical. To find out what's troubling. We were hired by this woman to go into the forest to find out what's going on in there, like are the creatures of the forest like disturbed and whatnot. So we went in and had a look. The creatures I got to fight were a green dragon, an iron golem. And the reason the iron golem is so much fun is I got to be a druid again, a dwarven druid, and I for the first time ever transformed into an owlbear, and I was like, right, let's do it. And we were all as a team. It's like, let's go and kick this iron golem's ass. At which point the iron golem came round the corner, smack, one hit, mushed me. And but it allowed time for the warrior. I don't die because everyone knows that if you're polymorphed, it's like extra hit points. You're like, you fall on the floor and you go, ow. But it gave the warrior time to get around it, and he started mushing it. I was playing a coward, but this is an iron golem, so even the warrior was looking bad, and I quickly was like, right, heal, because he was playing a dwarf. So I was like, I got your back, brother, and healed him. So that was the highlight of my entire thing, is like healing the warrior, so he got revenge on mushing me. But the last creature was a beholder, and the reason this was so cool is he actually had the model painted up and he dropped it down. But before that, he had actually done a fit. This is what as good as having the maps and all that for online is good. There's an extra little bit of detail if you're meeting people in person, and Dave must have had this plan for ages because he had the map for each of the. Oh, sorry, we hadn't even to test our metal at the beginning. We had a little battle with the people that were hiring us, so we got to. He had a map done for the bar. He had a map done for the 2 encounters the 1 encounter in the forest, the dragon. He had a map for the iron golem. And the one thing, in order to get through to the iron golem, we had to talk to the wizard who was going to tell us where to go to deal with the monster. And this is the funny thing that I don't know is on the internet yet, and hopefully it might not be. But in order to do it, we had to sing a ditty, and we had to it had to be something good and juicy.
Sorry, I'm just going to translate for the non-dubs. That's ditty, D-I-T-T-Y.
A song, an entertaining song that he would love to let us in.
Were
I
there
was already writing little things down that rhymed, thinking that everyone else was going to do it, and we'd pull our resources together. No, unfortunately, I should have been a bard. I did the lyrics. Someone came up with the chorus, and I pretty much sung it. And halfway through it, I caught that they were recording it and butchered the second bit to the point where the wizard was like, "No, do it again, do it again." I did it again, and I hope I never see it, but it's out there. But yeah, and I'm finished up now.
Were there people with their phones recording you, D-Man?
There were, yeah. Well, I knew it was coming, but I didn't.
Love it.
I didn't know it was happening until I thought I would get, got a chance to sing it and then sing it again, but no. But the last map he'd built by hand, it was like he built everything by hand and painted it, and then dropped down the beholder. And I was like, because I don't think of like it was just a shock. Because we were all 12 levels, so you're thinking, we can fight anything, we're grand, and then a fucking beholder drops down, and it's like it's just, like for people that don't know what a beholder is, all the eyes, scary, and look, and I forgot how big they are. Like, look, But yeah, so we kicked ass, we took names, we defeated the Beholder, and it was great because we still had 20 minutes left. Where we were the last table there, but everybody was. This is another thing. Everybody was there to role play, to play D&D. It was lots of fun, and I haven't heard a bad thing being said. It was really good. The highlight though was when, and it happens everywhere, but when the one scumbag comes in, walks around, doesn't know what's going on, but puts on the face like he does, goes to the back of the room, realizes, fuck, I can't go forward, I better turn back, and walks out.
The
The only other
Pubcast,
time I looked up, we all did, to go, who the fuck is he? Huh?
the Pubcast does not recognize the classification scumbag. We don't label someone we've never met. We're an inclusive.
He had his
media.
hand down his jocks, and he might have stolen someone.
All right, so come here. Was anyone at your table a noob? I feel like Fifth Ed has introduced a whole branch of people that never would have played with.
With the adventure leagues, there's a lot of new people and old people coming to them. Adventure leagues better because you actually can go at any time, bring your character, and just time in. You get filled on what's happened before, and you continue with the adventure. Where I'm not too sure. I actually know. Reading I think there was a little bit of a chat. There was a few people that had probably never done it before. Oh, sorry, there's one guy that never done it in person before. Who actually played a really cool rogue and was doing tremendous damage. If you think I'm bad with low pan, oh my god, wait until I get to 12th. Jesus.
Yeah, no, rogues are OP once they get past a certain level. They're literally just it's sneak attack damage and all sorts of shit. Like
there was a lot of everybody gelled together nicely, and we were in it for the group. And there was no one. Well, there was this one point where, and it's great to see where only the rogue got called by someone in the pub. And long story short, he was asked to rob the ring of the person who hired us, and he did it like a legend, and it was great. And none of us knew because that was the only time where it could have caught a bit controversy. But the funniest thing, sorry, about how we have it easy compared to back in the day, I didn't have any internet connection. No one really did. So he said, there you go, roll up a 12th level character. There's books there if you need. Or he rolled up all the 5 other characters. He had them ready to go. And I said, no problem. I can do this. Hang on, D&D Beyond is, oh crap. Well, I can do this it hasn't been since I was 18, 19 that I've done this. And there was a bit of fear that I wasn't going to be able to, do a druid without the, a digital device, but I did it and he rocked,
Can I ask a question of you guys very quick? Reroll games in Navan is an absolute haven. It is a beautiful place, and it runs gaming nights nonstop, magic tournaments, everything. Unfortunately, it is an absolute sanctuary to regulars, and every time you walk in there as a member of the general public, which, to be honest, it's a shop. First and foremost, it's a shop. It sells things. If you walk in there just to buy a thing, everybody is fucking afraid of you. And they put their fucking hackles up like it's an outsider. The way Darren did about the young fella with his hand in his jocks. I walk in there and they instantly what Darren want? We're trying to play D&D. They don't know I'm every bit as bad as them. I'm in my ma clothes. They don't know.
Sure.
They don't know I'm, despite my inability to add 7 5, I love role playing. But I walk in there to get something for my kids, and they are fucking.
Well, what you probably don't know, Kim, is that the shop is in one of the not a room, another section. There isn't a way to walk through it. You have to come out and round. But
because in reroll games, you walk in the front door and you're confronted with people at tables playing. And because of the way they run things, and Jesus, would it have been nice to live near something like that when I was growing up. The problem is they're a shop, but their opening hours are 6 to 9, and they're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. They're open for people to come in and game. But if you're interested and you're a fucking casual, you want to go to the shop.
There depends. The equivalent we have of that in Dublin is Gamers World, which I cannot recommend enough. They're phenomenal people. And they have that's in Dublin city centre. They're open. They're probably open 11
now.
11 till about late. But do have gaming tournaments, and they've got a section for that. But they also have it out front as well. But I've seen people in there that are like the mas that come in buying stuff for their kids. I've seen people coming in there, but it depends. It really depends. And I mean, there's always, unfortunately, there's always a level of gatekeeping in certain situations, depending on the type of place you're going to.
You used to get that as a woman walking into a comic shop.
Yeah.
Like
when
I got that walking into a comic book shop in Boston many years ago, and it was, you know, the shop was manned by 3 or 4 lads, 2 of whom looked like a comic book guy from The Simpsons, and one of the nice ones came over and he's like, "Oh, if there's anything I can help you with, like, let me know." And a bit of a like, "There's a girl in the shop. I'll be nice to her." And then I started reaming off titles that I had read, and I wanted something similar. And he had a moment of, shit, she knows some shit. So, but again, it's going to be much different now, because that's what 15 years ago. So thankfully, it's a lot easier for
all of it. They haven't got rid of all of it. It's going to take some time. But I feel like if some randomer walks into your safe space, you to get your hackles up is understandable, but also will you fucking chill? They could be worse than you.
Yeah.
I think the gaming, the table. What was that, Kim?
Well, they're just wearing a Karen disguise. You know, they could be everybody.
But like, I mean, the tabletop RPG scene, particularly, it's funny, over the last 2.5, 3 years, online gaming like this, like done through a stream like this, has skyrocketed. Like we said, I think we said it's about a half an hour ago, D&D in particular, being a gateway into this type of a scene, through the popularity of shows like Critical Role or the Dimension 20, or as a channel, and like High Rollers, and a fucking plethora of other shows. We have all the Irish ones that, like, there's ourselves to a degree, but then you have Homebrew, you have D8 Dungeon, you know, there's a rake of them. Make It Epic, which is, you know, another Irish one. Make It Epic has got a 50-50 split of like 3 girls, 3 guys on the show.
People complain about quotas and things like that, but if people hadn't decided at some point, oh shit, we have to have a girl, then people like us wouldn't see role-playing campaigns with girls in it, like it wasn't some weirdness. So then what happens is, if you have a girl quota for a while, you will get girls coming out of the woodwork that are as nerdy as any fucking dude you've ever met, that will go, oh shit, I can do this. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know I was allowed. I remember once we were rolling characters for Deadlands, and I turned around and gave my character to the DM, and he goes, oh, it's a guy? And I went, yeah. And he goes, can I ask, why are you playing a man? And I said, I thought you had to.
Yeah.
All the characters I'd ever seen in Deadlands were guys. Oh my god, I'm on with them. Yeah, I was like, oh, I thought they had to be.
Yeah. And like,
I
there is
for a character to be compelling, it had to be a man. And what we have now is, because of maybe quotas at the beginning, and maybe if we don't have a woman in here, someone will complain. A few years of having a woman in there, so nobody will complain, will lead to the organic explosion of women playing these things, because they realize it's accessible, and it's all the better for it. Imagine a world without art here, though. No.
But I mean,
imagine a world without fucking you playing mad rogues.
But the thing about the tabletop RPG scene has become a huge kind of haven, and also ally for a lot of LGBTQ plus players and scenes and groups, and like it's because people get to be who they fantasize being.
Wayne,
and
I was very disappointed. I noticed that, and I love that over the last few years. and I was very disappointed to find that subculture. Um, the the what do they call themselves? To every reaction, to every action, there's a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So the absolute unequivocal inclusiveness of TTRPGs has led to a movement of very traditional gamers, no apps,
Yeah.
and one of the sneaky side effects of that is they're kind of pressing back against the inclusivity of LGBTQ players and women.
I'm very happy to say that they're in the minority because it's a similar thing in comics where you have the comic gators. Well, like comics is of like every fandom has it, where you have
It's a shame for progress to happen. You have to have the pushback. I love that it's so small, but I was disappointed. I really didn't realize that was going on, and I'm like, oh,
there's a saying my grandfather was very fond of when I was growing up. He used to say to me, Wayne, there's cunts everywhere.
You were the wise man.
Wayne's granddad.
Folks, on that note, we're over the 2 hour mark. We're going to end it there. This has been Pubcast. I've been Wayne.
I've been Kim.
I've been Darren.
I've been Jill.
Until the next time, do check us out on anywhere you find podcasts. Up on our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to us there. You'll find us across all social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the works. Do check us out. Do check out Sorcery and Shenanigans. It's our D&D campaign, soon to be launching into space. And we will see you on the next episode of Sorcery and Shenanigans, and we will see you on the next official episode of Pubcast. Until then, look after yourselves. Take it handy.
Bye.
Peace out, mofos.